What's cracking, y'all? It's your boy Zakage back with another one. This time we looking into the latest scratch that. Latest Boruto Blue Vortex chapter 25. You know, it's a lot been going on, so let's get into it without further ado.
Boruto is trapped in the shadows of his own village, isolated in Konoha, the village that he once swore to protect, forced to watch his sister struggle with Kurama's overwhelming power, unable to step forward as the hero that he wants to be. But just when it feels like hope is slipping away, a confession from Sarada ignites a storm of emotions, not just for her, but for Sumire as well, setting the stage for a love triangle that could reshape the future of Konoha. And as Moegi is finally unsealed, another revelation threatens to change everything, because Boruto, desperate to protect his friends and family, turns to the one entity that he should have never trusted ever. In a moment of despair, he makes an unthinkable offer to Momoshiki. He can take full control of his body if he kills Jura. The question is,
Damn, so he going down my boy Sasuke path. Yeah. Let's go. Boruto. If y'all ain't been watching it, it's got way better. Way better. Jump on.
has Boruto just made a deal that will unleash the very demon that once wished to destroy the world? And can Momoshiki even be trusted? Well, in this Boruto Tubu Vortex Chapter 25 review, your OBC, your original Boruto Chi, is going to be breaking all that down and so much more. We open up the chapter inside of Konoha with Konohamaru placing the Thorn Soul bulb that belonged to Matsuri against the portion of the tree that covers Moegi's heart, and after the Thorn Soul makes the connection, it quickly causes the tree to explode and Moegi falls into the arms of Konohamaru. But very quickly, we get our first hints that something is wrong, that unsealing a person isn't a surefire way to confirm that they'll be okay. On top of being unconscious, Konohamaru has to ask Moegi if she remembers him, and once she regains consciousness, Ikimoto does a good job of closing in on Konohamaru's eyes before he has him squeeze Moegi tightly, something that Konohamaru likely thought he'd never be able to do again, and it's because there was a risk that Moegi would be gone forever. However, as Himawari gushes over the sight of Konohamaru, clearly holding back tears as he hugs her, Boruto watches the whole scene from afar, high in the sky, and it's at this moment your heart has to break for Boruto a little bit. Due to being charged with the crime of killing his father Naruto and his mother Hinata, Boruto is a rogue ninja in the very village that doesn't even remember him as Naruto's son, that doesn't remember him as the boy who so many, including Kakashi, compared to Minato, who had hopes of him becoming the second coming of the fourth Hokage, and had helped save the village from Momoshiki, save the son of the feudal lord from Shogun.
My boy went down a dark path. How could you blame him? His idol was Sasuke. You gotta go down the darkness to get to the light. For real, though.
Joji, and they watch this same boy teleport Ishiki out of Konoha before he could do any more damage to the village when he was fighting Naruto. He's being forced to hide high in the sky, masking his chakra to avoid detection because he's still public enemy number one. The feudal lord's order to have him killed is still in effect until stated otherwise, and he can't join his sister Himawari in the relief that comes from watching Moegi, someone they've known ever since they were born, be released back into the world of the living. At the tender age of 15, Boruto is carrying a burden that would make grown men buckle, but because he is the rightful son of Naruto, he has no choice but to endure. And as the inheritor of Sasuke's will of fire, he has to protect.
Hey, bro, look hard right there. Bro, look hard. Look, my favorite character is Sasuke. I don't care how you feel about it. But yeah, that's cool. My nigga look hard right here.
Protect the village from the shadows, even if they all hate him, and even at the expense of the very bonds that he cherishes and wants to reestablish so desperately. Meanwhile, in the land of Wind, deep in the hidden sand village, Kankuro gives Shikamaru a status update on Gaara's condition. Shinki has been unsealed, but Gaara is in a coma right now. unable to breathe on his own, needing a ventilator while the medics tend to him around the clock. It's in this moment as you see Gaara hooked up on breathing tubes, despite knowing that it's not life-threatening.
My boy Gaara going through it. Y'all pray for him. Drop a like in the comment. Drop a comment for Gaara. Pray for him.
It's another reminder that even though this war against Jura is still in the early stages, the victory that Konoha has gotten on this mission hasn't been without any cost. Yodo is dead, Moegi is clearly weakened, and Gaara, he's in a coma right now. Both new gen and old generation characters have been put in harm's way, and this war against Jura, it isn't even climaxed yet. This leads us to Shikamaru being told by Sai that he's being summoned by a meeting, one that we don't see take place in the chapter, but given the way that the optics look for him, how he handled Boruto's imprisonment, and now Boruto showing up in the Land of Wind, and Shikamaru having information that he shouldn't have that comes from an undisclosed source, it's safe to assume that both the elders and the feudal lord, they have questions to ask the 8th Hokage, and very slowly, the walls are closing in on one of Boruto's most important allies, which, unlike the past battles that Shikamaru used his 200 IQ for, this is a political battle. One wrong answer could change everything for him as he makes his leave from the Hokage office. Elsewhere, inside the Konoha hospital, Sarada enters the room to see Moegi being tended to by Sakura, who reveals the price that comes from having been sealed inside the tree for a short period of time, that she was. Her chakra flow, it is dangerously weak, and it's because the tree she was inside of was draining her power, draining her chakra, which we know is because the chakra is being sent to the awakened Shinju, and the fact that for...
Whoa, they still got my nigga Sasuke in the tree too.
A short period of time, and the tree left Moegi this low on chakra. It makes you wonder about the fates of Bug, who was sealed away in a tree during some unknown time period ago, and most importantly, Sasuke, who's been stuck inside of a tree for a whole 2 years. And just looking at how close to Absolute Zero he might be, which in Naruto, Absolute Zero is death, it makes our boy Sasuke in a very dangerous situation, and it makes clear he's never escaping those out of chakra allegations now. As Sakura breaks down Moegi's condition and Moegi makes the prolonged eye contact.
Y'all gotta get Boruto. Boruto, get Sasuke out that tree. You got to. If you don't, I will. I'll go get him.
Contact with Konohamaru, Sarada catches the eye of Sumire and she asks her, hey, can we speak in private? Which leads to the two in an undisclosed area inside the village that appears to be where they first met Boruto in Chapter 5 of Two Blue Vortex. Naturally, as you would expect, after their last time being in the same room with each other, where Sumire crashed out and unintentionally gaslighted Sarada, things are a bit awkward between the two, and Sumire tries to make small talk by congratulating her on the tough mission in the Sand Village, but in this moment, Sarada shows that she's every bit Sasuke's daughter, because just as Sasuke's blunt and to the point, so is Sarada. She calls Sumire by her first name, which should be the first time she's ever done so in the manga, and as a reminder that part of the reason for the blow up in chapter 16 was that Sumire got pissed off not just about Sarada's clear feelings for Boruto, but also for Sarada continuing to call her by the title class rep instead of Sumire, which for a quick lesson in Japanese culture, calling Sumire by class rep isn't just a nickname. It can and it was interpreted by Sumire as an impersonal address by Sarada instead of a more casual and intimate address, which is how close friends will refer to each other. Using someone's first name without the honorific, it is a sign of trust and a signal of how close you are, versus saying class rep shows an unintended distance, which for Sumire, it really hurts given that she and Sarada have been the only ones they've had to confide in each other for the last 3 years inside the village, fighting side by side to prove Boruto's innocence and survive the trauma that came from being immune to omnipotence. They are way past the formality stage at this point. This is why Sarada was trying to make things right, and as she apologizes, Ada is watching the entire situation unfold with her Senrigan, watching the scene closely, and as she watches Sarada admit the truth to Sumire, Sumire was right to question if Sarada was in love with Boruto and being insensitive to her feelings. And Sarada explains how she got to that point where she's just jumping into Boruto's arms without thinking twice about it. It's because there were feelings.
Boruto hit that. Sasuke daughter, Sarada. They about to have a baby. Congratulations.
There all along. She just hadn't realized it yet. Back when Sumire asked Sarada in part 1 if she was bothered by other girls liking Boruto, Sarada brushed it off, but she was so driven by her goal of being Hokage that she never allowed herself to think about those feelings or even romance in general, which as she says this, Ada is 100% invested in this gossip and probably thinking to herself she knew all along, because when we go back to Boruto part 1, Ada directly asked Sarada about her romantic feelings when she, Sumire, and Sarada were all in the bed together having that girl pillow talk. But Sarada never got to directly answer the question because Sumire stepped in. Sarada reveals that over time, she found herself thinking about Boruto a lot, which now makes that moment in chapter 69 hit harder because Mitsuki flat out asked Sarada about her feelings regarding Boruto, meaning that Sarada was quite literally the last person to realize that she was in love with Boruto, and she hadn't addressed those feelings. And we learn it wasn't a simple crush, as in girl sees cute boy and girl goes, I like cute boy. It was through Boruto's actions that she began to develop feelings for him. The way he carried the burdens alone, despite those burdens being so heavy, and the ones that he had to face alone, like the fate of being Momoshiki's vessel and the risk of losing his soul. At first, she wondered if it was simply because she was his teammate that made her worry about him and think about him. But then she began to ask, was it because she was a friend? And as she asked herself the questions, the answers to those questions, they just led to more questions. Because Sarada subconsciously began to realize what she was feeling wasn't concern for a teammate. It was something more, and it scared Sarada. It made her question if thinking about Boruto so much, being as concerned for his well-being as much as she was, did something like that mean she couldn't be Hokage since her mind was distracted from her goal?
Damn, she really is Sasuke's daughter for real, for real.
Sarada's self-focused drive on one singular goal to the point that it was all she could think about is something that is relatable and it makes her human. We all have our goals and our dreams. I can't speak for you, but I know for me, I have a couple of huge goals that I am locked in on, that I found myself understanding where Sarada's coming from. Energy on romance is energy that could be put into chasing a dream because a partner requires a lot of energy, but you learn.
That's facts. For those of you who don't know that, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of dedication, commitment. It's not for everybody. We're just going to leave it at that.
Just as Yodo taught Sarada, it's okay to chase both a dream and a goal, and also make room for those who are in your life that care for you. You can do both. Yodo's words made Sarada realize that subconsciously, she was not only burying her feelings, but underestimating her strength to endure the weight that comes from chasing the Hokage dream and caring for something, in this case for someone other than her Hokage dream. That's where Sarada drops the nuke that officially starts the pairing wars. She reveals she's in love with Boruto, and upon hearing this, Ada covers her mouth, likely in shock at this reveal, and Sarada continues to explain herself, this time revealing that she wants to be Boruto's strength, basically be his sword or his shield, and that those feelings, that love is what makes her stronger and makes her certain now that she can become Hokage. Now, this is where we do need to address something very quickly due to the confusion and the anger discourse that has popped up around this conversation. It's the same problem that popped up when Sarada unlocked her Mangekyou Sharingan in chapter 80 of Boruto Part 1. A lot of fans, due to Naruto having been over as a manga for 11 years, and the anime for 8 years, a lot of fans, they operate off of nostalgia, YouTube short, TikTok clips, Instagram reels, and video games. Hence, they have a incorrect outrage saying that Sarada's Mangekyo was a plot hole because she didn't see anyone die. And the same thing is happening now with this. Sarada claiming that she got stronger because of her feelings of love. It isn't a plot hole, and Ikimoto isn't taking a dump on the Naruto lore like people are saying. Instead,
the Uchihas have always been the clan that relies on love for empowerment. Of course, hatred too, but it's fueled from love. So for her getting stronger off of love, that doesn't surprise me. It seems like something that's totally normal that happens up in this manga. It's nothing that's out of the ordinary. It's no plot device that I think that they just placed there. That's just a fact. You know, it's been stated several times throughout this manga, throughout this series as a whole, that Uchihas they crash out over love the most. They love the hardest.
he's once again writing the story in a subtle way to offer a basic reminder of essential lore from Naruto, which makes sense that Naruto's assistant, Ikimoto, the first assistant hired for Naruto, would have a grasp on the Naruto lore. When a shinobi has something or someone that is precious to them, that is the moment where they can begin to draw out their full power. The moments that many will call mental amps in a lot of cases. In the 72 volumes of Naruto, as well as in multiple of the 4 data books and in both of the Naruto fan books, this is either directly stated or it is alluded to. For instance, how Minato in the one-shot, Minato was able to, despite getting a hole in his chest by Seven Tails Kushina, he was able to summon the strength to cancel out a Bijudama from the full Nine Tails. He canceled that Bijudama with his Rasengan because he had just previously declared his love for Kushina and stated that he would be the one who was always inside of her. So for Sarada as Uchiha, a clan that not only feels love stronger than others, as well as hate. This is important because Uchiha's strength is directly linked to their yin chakra, which is made up of spiritual energy, and the stronger the emotions of love or hate, the stronger their chakra is stated to grow. And it's not just for the purposes of their Sharingan gaining Tomo or awakening a Mangekyo. The concept is basically the stronger the base, the stronger the power-up is that comes into play, and Sarada's pretty damn strong without any type of mental amp.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Sarada embracing this now gives her a clear head and ironically has her walking 2 paths that might be intertwined. On one road, she's walking the path to become the 9th Hokage, and on the other path, she's walking the road that leads her to the wedding altar to marry Boruto, a boy who wants to become the Shadow Hokage to her Hokage. Could that also be a husband and wife thing? That remains to be seen, but just as her Hokage goals won't be achieved without any resistance, the same is true for her quest for Boruto's heart, with Sumire revealing that she knew all along that Sarada was in love with Boruto, that it was obvious to anyone who could see, and that she won't give up in her fight to be the one who claims Boruto's heart. That line is very easy to pass over, but it does 2 things. First, it highlights Sumire's keen perception, something that Sumire's character does not get enough credit for, but it also shows that even though she hasn't thrown a single punch in the manga, she has the heart of a fighter as well. Only this is a battlefield of love, and in this moment, her acceptance of Sarada's feelings without putting her own on the shelf reveals that Sumire's greatest strength is her empathy and her strength of character, in spite of her unintentional gaslighting that came from a rare moment of human weakness. If we're being honest here, Boruto's a very lucky guy in that regard. 2 young women are vying for his heart, both brilliant, both...
Bro got 2 dimes chasing him, while he over here on top of the sky, 1 billion feet up. Ain't never cracked a peanut in his life, probably. Cray cray. While I'm still over here chasing all these money signs, trying to create a better life. I'll get there one day. The help of y'all.
would be viewed as attractive by boys in his generation, and both have a strong moral character, fitting for a boy who has had to stand alone in the darkness against threats that no child should ever have to worry about. if he is the mighty sword that cuts down the demons that are haunting his village, then each of them, they are sturdy enough, Sarada and Sumire, to be the sheath where his long blade returns to after a combat in order to rest. Either girl could serve to complete him. Now, one final thing that has to be cleared up here is that Sarada's confession does not mean that she abandoned her Hokage dream or put it on the back burner like some people are claiming. She quite literally says the opposite in the chapter, but instead, what Ikimoto did here was place her in a situation where her character was fleshed out and written in a human way to use the confession to further her character development and slowly intertwining her goals. She loves Boruto, but she also loves her Hokage dream. Those goals are intertwined.
Even though she loves Boruto, she's gonna still become Hokage. I think that's still gonna be her priority. Even though she loves Boruto, she ain't gonna go back on that, but she gonna still be Hokage. Just like how Naruto said he was gonna save Sasuke and be Hokage. That's how it's gonna be for her. She's gonna love Boruto and be Hokage. Same shit.
However, not to be left out, Ada jumps in and she demands to the sensory unit that they connect her to the conversation. And what I love about this is that it's just a continued expression of how Ada's character in Japanese is written, which that does not fully translate well over into English. On one hand, the English translation does correctly portray her as a girl in part 1 and now a woman in Two Blue Vortex who just wanted female companionship. Hence, she sought out Sarada and Sumire, but what doesn't translate well into English is the lettering she has in Japanese. It is very purposeful, and it further shows her personality off. She talks with a lot of lettering that is associated with uptown girls in Japan that are on the high end. So think of a very classy Minato War girl who...
Oh, so she like a classy, bad one. Get those peasants away from me type. Almost like, yeah, she up class type shit. She's real bougie. She ain't going for none of that little low level shit. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't paying, you scraping. And if you ain't scraping, you damn sure ain't staying.
Uses a lot of bratty girl tones and the slang. She mixes a lot of teenage and adult expressions, but it's done with a level of sass to her. Think of her sass as being on the same level as Boruto's sarcasm. And in part 1 of Boruto, she speaks with a lot of doublespeak. She has a quirk, especially when it comes to her getting worked up about love. Like when Naruto and Shikamaru show up during the code battle, when she says that the battlefield is a mess, it is doublespeak for her romantic state of affairs being a mess and not just the battlefield. So she's getting upset here. It's her being upset that she's the outsider, constantly looking in at others using the Senrigan, not being a part of their conversation. And the two girls that she's watching that are talking about romance, having the very same talk that she wanted to have with them in part 1, and she's not included, it's driving her crazy. And that's why she's reaching out to the sensory unit. That is why she's written in Japanese with a very quirky way of contacting the sensory unit. Meanwhile, back in the Uzumaki clan residence, Himawari, she's in deep meditation and she is training with Kurama inside the Biju sanctuary, and this moment quickly reveals that she's got a long way to go because Kurama is quite literally slapping her around using his tails. And what's more is that we get another Dragon Ball Easter egg here from Ikimoto, who again is a big Dragon Ball fan. It's a throwback to Krillin training Gohan on the spaceship using the same method when they were on the spaceship traveling to planet Namek.
Hey, that's dope. I love when they do shit like that.
Kurama quickly lets his frustration be known with Himawari. She isn't progressing in the way that he believes that she should be. She's still trying to fight like a shinobi, using her raw strength, and he is telling her to use her chakra to the point that it goes beyond what shinobi do, which, as a reminder, chakra is used for more than just ninjutsu. Chakra can be used to amp your stats. Tsunade and Sakura, they use it for their strength. The Raikage and Sasuke, when they use those chakra cloaks like Sasuke did against Kinshiki, that's used to amp your speed. Kakashi literally uses it for stamina when he was in possession of the Sharingan. Rock Lee and Might Guy, they use it for their strong fist fighting style, which literally tries to break the bones of their enemies. When Himawari says that she already knows how to use chakra because she's a ninja, Kurama again tells her that she knows nothing, like she's Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He tells her the same thing that he told her when he first met her, and that Jura said when they were battling. And he stated that the power that she's using is beyond that of a Jinchuriki and closer to a tailed beast itself. She's not a shinobi anymore. She's less human and Jinchuriki and closer to what Kurama and Jura are, which that confuses Himawari, and Kurama tries to reframe it to her by saying what he's teaching her are the basics and she needs to forget about trying to fight like a shinobi, but instead think of herself as literal chakra, which is another nod to what Jura alluded to, saying she's more than a Jinchuriki and she's closer to a tailed beast like him. Kurama tells her, think of herself as chakra, focus in on that, and then everything else will make sense. But when Himawari still does not get it, Kurama cuts their training short and he refuses to answer Himawari after he kicks her out the Biju Sanctuary and she returns to
Bro said, I'm going to sleep. I'm tired of talking to you.
the Uzumaki household, where unbeknownst to her, Boruto has been watching her the entire time while she sits in her father's office and she is doing the mental training, with Boruto sitting on a nearby building looking at her through the window. And it's just, once again, another sad reminder of Boruto's situation being a reflection of what Momoshiki meant in part 1. Those who are immune to omnipotence, which that includes Boruto, they will suffer the most. He's so close to his sister, yet so far away. So close to the home he grew up at, yet he can't walk into that empty home to care for his sister. Which brings me to another point. And I'll keep this one brief since I've already discussed why Himawari isn't living at the Hyuga compound in my video titled Why Himawari is Living Alone Explained, but I'll address it in 2 quick sentences. In Japanese culture, it's not uncommon for young kids to learn to cook and care for themselves or care for loved ones or be prepared to live on their own because they might end up attending a school in another city depending on how they score on the entrance exam, and they'll likely have to live in that apartment alone. That's why nobody bats an eye at Himawari living alone in Boruto, and she believes in her heart that if she keeps the Uzumaki household up, that her parents will return home one day. Now, as sad as that is, things that get even sadder. Boruto enters Momoshiki's sanctuary, which that surprises Momoshiki since it's the first time they've spoken in 2 years. Momoshiki tells Boruto that he's in despair, while Boruto gets to roam around the world free and states that he should have let Boruto stay dead when Kawaki killed him because his reincarnation is no longer possible and the only thing that can set him free now is Boruto's death. This is because his last-ditch effort, it failed 3 years ago, and in the time since then, it's failed too. Boruto's mental state of mind, it was too resilient to allow Momoshiki to hijack Boruto in Boruto Chapter 80, and Boruto, each time the Karma Seal caught on, despite Boruto saying Momoshiki could hijack him, Boruto's managed with every fiber of his being to keep Momoshiki from hijacking him, despite Momoshiki's continued efforts. Basically, if Boruto doesn't mentally break or willingly give Momoshiki his body, then Momoshiki is stuck in that dimension, which has black background, which reminds me of how Ichigo in Bleach would have an inner dimension that would change backgrounds based on the emotions. Makes you wonder if Ikimoto took inspiration from there, or if this is more likely than not like what Minato did, where he changed the scenery in Naruto's Biju Sanctuary and Naruto Volume 47. Boruto just cuts right to the chase, asking Momoshiki to give him his power, and when Momoshiki basically tells him, hey, go F off, Boruto says a deal works 2 ways, and he's prepared to give something. In exchange for Momoshiki killing Jura, Boruto will surrender his body to Momoshiki to take control, and the way that Momoshiki gives him the side eye shows that the boogeyman inside of Boruto is already scheming about the chaos he can cause depending on what the conditions are laid out, likely with Boruto demanding Momoshiki doesn't harm the people he cares for. And if he does, Boruto might have a Sasuke versus Orochimaru moment from early part 2, where Sasuke managed to kill Orochimaru. This chapter then transitions over to a happier note. Sarada and Sumire, they're walking through the village, stating that Boruto has no idea about the fact that they're in love with him, and the irony is that as they have this lighthearted conversation about the boy they love, the same boy stuck in a dark place, staring at the demon inside of him who has been the cause of all the heartache that Boruto's faced, with Boruto trying to cut a deal with the devil to save the very same people he cares for, which includes Sarada and Sumire. It's almost as heartbreaking as the Shikamaru video essay here on the right you can watch, or if that doesn't get your attention, you can get caught up on the 2 Blue Vortex chapter reviews with this playlist, or you can watch my new Gachi Akira video.
Alright, y'all. How y'all feel about this review of chapter 25, Blue Vortex of Boruto? I feel like shit getting lit. It been getting lit for a minute. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with it, but yeah, Boruto's came a long way. And he prepared to give it all right now. He's prepared to give it all right now. And then you got the 2 females chasing after him. It's finna get real active. I feel like it's gonna get even better. Boruto's been getting very, very good. It's been good for quite a while now, but yeah, you just gotta have to be tuned in. I'm gonna be dropping more reviews on chapters and keeping y'all updated on that. But yeah, if you guys stuck around to this point in the video, you know, you might as well give me a like, drop a comment, and anything else that y'all want me to talk about, and don't forget to subscribe. But it's your boy Izakage. I'm out this thing. I'll catch y'all again on another one. Peace.